Hello everyone, Bob here. Today, October 1st, we're going to talk about the first film in the franchise that is going to be my focus for this month. I, of course, am talking about John Carpenter's Halloween. I love this film. To me, it is one of the greatest horror films ever made. And there's just so much that went right with this. Is it perfect? No. I mean, you can see the palm trees and the mountains in the background. The film's supposed to take place in Illinois, but that just adds to the charm of this film. Film was made in 1978 on a measly budget of $300,000. It was directed by John Carpenter. It was written by John Carpenter and his then girlfriend Deborah Hill. And they got the financing from Mustafa Akkad. And, well, the rest is history. The film's main cast consists of Donald Pleasence as Dr. Sam Loomis. Laurie Strode is played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and this is actually her first feature film. Nancy Loomis portrays Laurie's friend, Annie Brackett. Another of Laurie's friends is played by P.J. Souls, and she plays Linda Vanderklok. The film starts out on Halloween night, 1963. It starts out in this POV shot, and you can tell someone is watching this young girl and her boyfriend in the house and through the windows. And when they go upstairs and go into their bedroom, the point of view shot goes around back of the house, goes in through the kitchen. You see an arm come down and grab a knife out of a drawer, and then slowly he wanders in, and the boyfriend comes down the stairs and leaves, and point of view shot goes up the stairs, and the girl eventually turns around and says Michael, and then the point of view character stabs her to death. He quickly goes downstairs. The parents pull up in the car outside, and they pull the mask off to reveal it is 6-year-old Michael Myers. Fast forward 15 years to the night before Halloween in 1978, and Michael Myers escapes. They're getting ready to transport him so that he can stand trial for the murder he committed as an adult. And he escapes. And the next morning, on October 31st, young Laurie Strode is leaving for school, and her dad, who has Strode Realty, asks his daughter to drop off the key at the old Myers place because he's going to show the house later. And she goes along, and she drops off the key, and she runs into Tommy Doyle, who she is going to babysit that night. And Tommy Doyle tells her not to go up there because the house is haunted and some awful things happen there, and she's not afraid. And she goes up and drops the key off. Well, you see Michael watching her from inside, and he then follows her around throughout the day. Meanwhile, Michael's psychiatrist, Dr. Sam Loomis, which is the Donald Pleasence character, follows him back to Haddonfield. He knows that he's come back to Haddonfield. He doesn't know why or he's going to target, but he knows he's come back to Haddonfield, and he meets with the sheriff, and they go to the old Myers house and wait around. Of course, Michael isn't there because he's out following Laurie. But in this part of the film, Donald Pleasence has some wonderful monologues about how Michael's purely and simply evil, how he spent 8 years trying to reach him and another 7 keeping him locked up because he knew what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. Laurie and her friend Annie are babysitting 2 kids that are across the street from each other. Laurie goes to the Doyle house, and Annie goes to the Wallace house. And Michael kind of follows him over there, and he stalks Annie around, and eventually Annie's boyfriend calls, and she decides she wants to hook up with him, so she runs little Lindsay Wallace across the street for Lori to watch, and when she goes over there by herself, she gets offed by Michael. A little later, Lori's other friend, Linda, who we did meet for a little while earlier in the movie, shows up with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's name's Bob, and it wasn't me. I thought I'd throw that out there. She shows up across the road, and of course, they go upstairs and do some adult things, and Michael proceeds to kill them one by one. But right before Michael kills Linda, she starts to call Lori, and Lori hears her being strangled. First, she kind of thinks it's a kind of a prank, but since the little kids are asleep, she decides to go across the road to investigate. And once across the road, she finds the bodies have been posed. Annie is in front of his sister Judith's headstone that he had dug up and transported in. Linda is in the dumbwaiter, and Bob's hanging upside down in a closet. Then Lori, of course, screams. She's terrified. She just found all of her friends dead, and she's backs up into the hall. Then there's this wonderful thing they do with the lighting where you reveal the mask for he attacks her. Then he, of course, stabs her, and she falls down the stairs, gets hurt. Then there's a slow chase. She tries to run from. Of course, no one wants to help her. And then she goes and bangs on the door to the Doyle house for Tommy to let her in. And of course, Tommy doesn't in any particular hurry. He makes it much closer than it should have been. Lori then realizes that there is a window open and that Michael Myers is in the house. And she's quickly kneels down next to her knitting bag and pulls free a knitting needle. And when he lunges over the couch to try to get her, she spins around and stabs him in the neck. And of course, he drops and plays dead. She runs upstairs to get the kids, and she tells the kids that she killed the boogeyman. And Tommy Doyle says, "You can't kill the boogeyman." Then the kids start screaming because he's climbed the stairs and is standing behind her. Then the kids run in another bedroom, and he follows her into, I'm assuming it's the master suite because there's a balcony. And she hides in a closet. Well, he punches through. She uses a hanger and stabs him in the eye, and he drops the knife, and then she picks it up and stabs him again. She drops the knife foolishly and thinks she's dead again. She comes out and tells the kids to unlock the door and to go down the street to the McKenzie's house and call the police and send them over there. And when the kids go running out, Loomis, who has started walking up and down the streets trying to find Michael, happens to be passing in front of the house and sees the kids running out. He goes inside. Michael has started to attack Lori again, and he shoots Michael once, then he drops back, and Loomis runs up and shoots him 5 more times. So he shot him 6 times. That is something to remember for Halloween 2. And Michael backs up and falls over the balcony and into the backyard. Lori asks Loomis, "Was it the boogeyman?" And Loomis says, "As a matter of fact, it was." Then he goes up and looks out the window, and Michael's gone. And the main theme starts playing in what is an epic cliffhanger ending. The music that went with this movie is pitch perfect. John Carpenter showed the film to some people before adding the music, and of course no one liked it. But when he added the music, it added an atmosphere or an element to it that it just made the tension palpable. Now, I've seen this movie a gazillion times, but I was lucky enough last October. We had a rain day in the field, and I managed to go see it on a B&B Theaters grand screen, which for those of you that don't know what that is, it's kind of like the Cinemark XD screen, or I guess an IMAX at an AMC. It's they say it's advertised, it's 4 stories tall and 7 stories wide. But that film, it looked wonderful because it was the new 4K master they were using. And the atmosphere in that room was so much different than just watching it on TV. You could feel the tension. You could feel all that stuff. Even though you already knew what was going to happen, it still was very effective just by seeing it at the big screen. It's amazing what kind of an atmosphere, just being at the cinema, how much that can up a movie. Not that the movie doesn't have the same kind of impact on TV. It does. It's just magnified at the theater. My wife, who had only seen the film once, had the same thought when she was there watching it at the theater. She had only seen it once prior to that. Then she says, even though I knew what was going to happen, she says, I still wanted to jump when I saw it. But it added so much watching that film at the theater. I can't begin to emphasize how important that score is and how much that added to that, just the way it was at that theater. Overall, performances in this film are good, especially when compared to other slashers, especially of the time and what came afterwards in the 80s. The mask, the most iconic part of this film, is actually they took a William Shatner Captain Kirk mask, they took off the sideburns, and they made the eye holes a little bigger, and they painted it white. And they did something to the hair. I don't remember what it was, but the mask that is so iconic to this franchise literally just cost them like a couple $3 to get. And they compared it, and then they had like a kind of a creepy clown mask. They tried both of them. They said the clown mask was unnerving, but when they put that one on, they knew they had the one they wanted. Halloween is one of those franchises, and this film is no different, that I own several different versions of it on home media. Of course, I'm not going to talk about some of the others right now. That'll be for another video at a later date. But for this one, I'm going to talk about the 4K Ultra HD release. Came out a couple years ago. Came out about to line up with the 2018 Halloween film, which was, of course, called Halloween also. That's the one thing about this franchise. The timelines and the naming system, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You could almost say the timeline is a choose-your-own-adventure thing because there are multiple paths to take. But we'll get into that at a later point. But right now, I was going to show you this. Of course, it's got the slipcover. You slide it out. It's pretty much the same. And then inside, you have the 4K, and then this is the same 35th anniversary Blu-ray that's been available in years prior. The picture quality on this film, it looks incredible in 4K. And like I say, it was the 4K master that was shown at the theater. And I have seen several films, especially more lately, but B&B Theaters has this deal where for, they used to, when cinemas was open, they had, on these Throwback Tuesdays, they would have $5 old movies. I've seen The Goonies there. I've seen Christmas Vacation. I've seen several films there that I already had. The Harry Potter movies. I'd seen several films that I'd already seen countless times on home video. Halloween looked by far the best, and a lot of it was off the strength. They used this 4K master, and when you watch it on TV, it looks incredible. And yes, realize there are some controversies regarding which particular transfer you watch, because some of them don't have the correct color timing. This one does. Everything has the little bluish tint to it. So it all looks and feels great. It sounds incredible. If you didn't know any better, you wouldn't realize this movie is 40 plus years old. It looks and sounds like it could have been made this decade and this last decade. And they just did a really good job of giving it a 70s feel. But this film looks great. And to me, every time I sit down to watch this film, I want to watch this 4K disc because I haven't seen it look any better, nor will you ever see it look or sound any better than that, short of going to the theater. But as far as the home format goes, in my opinion, that's the best way. I recommend, if you're a fan of the film, I highly, 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 highly recommend you watch this version. Audio and video are both getting 10 out of 10s. So for those of you that don't know, in 1981, NBC aired the movie on TV for the first time, and due to all the cuts they made to it to make it to where it was appropriate to air on TV, I guess is the way to put it, they needed some more footage. So while they were filming Halloween 2, John Carpenter wrote up and shot 11 or 12 minutes worth of footage. Most of it has to do with Loomis and Smith's Grove. And there is a scene at the beginning that takes place between when Michael kills his sister and when he escapes. It takes place in May of '64. And he's talking to this board, and they basically telling him that Michael has to stay there, even though Loomis is saying Michael Myers is the most dangerous patient he's ever observed. And they basically tell Loomis that they're not going to change it. They'll find someone else to look after him. And Loomis walks down to Michael's room and says, "You fooled him, haven't you, Mike? But not me." And then it cuts to the scene where he escapes. And then there's another couple of scenes where when Loomis is in there, goes in and looks at Michael's room, and he's carved the word sister on the door and run out. And you don't see him in those scenes. It's just the aftermath where they're cleaning up afterwards. And there's another scene with Lori and Linda where Linda comes over to borrow a dress, and she calls and or Annie calls wanting to borrow the same, I guess it's a blouse, it's not a dress. I don't watch these extended scenes nearly as often as I do the regular theatrical cut. But yeah, no, there isn't that much added in these extended scenes. Just, I don't know, it's not really even character development because it just kind of reiterates things we already knew. I'll address the carving of the word sister when I do review Halloween 2. At the time, it's just meant like sister, like the sister he killed back in '63. In this film, Michael kills a grand total of 5 people. He kills his sister, Judith Myers, at the beginning in 1963. He kills the mechanic to steal the overalls. He kills Annie's friend, or Annie Brackett, who is Laurie's friend. He kills Linda Vanderklok, who is also Laurie's friend, and he also kills Bob, who is Linda's boyfriend. That makes Michael's kill count total 5. The original Halloween is a film I could sit and talk and talk and talk about. This video could quite literally never end, so I need to draw a line on it. I'm going to give this film a 10 out of 10, an A+, whatever you want to give it. It's to me, it's my favorite horror film. It's, whenever I think of horror, and this is the granddaddy of all horror films as far as I'm concerned. I know there's some slasher movies that came before it, I know, but this is the one that really kick-started things into gear. And I love the film. I love the musical score. I love everything there is about this film. It's the perfect horror movie. And I hope you guys enjoy it too. I cannot recommend it enough. That's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And hit the bell notification so you know when my next video is uploaded. I try to have new content daily. Doesn't always work that way, but that is my goal. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. I try to keep everything updated there. Just search for Bob the Film Guy and you should be able to find me. And for now, stay safe, everyone. Happy Horror Month. This is Bob, signing off.